think he is the only character, and I'm probably wrong or trying to really give him some credibility here, but I'm pretty sure he's got the most powerful meteor spell in all of like Final Fantasy verse content.
Welcome to Side Quests and Save Points, the podcast where we talk about MMOs, RPGs, and everything in between. Today's Side Quest features Genesis VII, content creator, gaming enthusiast, and a man who's probably spent more time staring at turn-based battle menus than he has the outside world. If there's a game with health bars and an unnecessary grind, chances are Jen's played it, streamed it, and probably thought about arguing about it on Twitter. Much like old school RPGs that we grew up on, the ones that threw you straight into the world without a quest marker, a map, or even a vague idea of what you were supposed to be doing or truly capable of, this conversation is also going to have no hand-holding, no structure, no clear objectives, just two gamers chatting, swapping stories, and diving on as many random tangents as we can possibly imagine. So grab a drink, check your inventory, prepare to lose a few hours into a side quest you absolutely didn't mean to take. So welcome to your save point. Let's dive into this side quest. Welcome, Jen. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. What an intro. I am ready for just taking wherever the road may take us. I'm doing quite well. Hope you're doing as well. Doing good as well.
Absolutely amazing. So we'll start with a nice one. Seems to get the conversation going. What is your earliest gaming memory that you have?
The earliest gaming memory of mine has got to be, I've got one vividly, but I'm pretty sure I can go back further if I really, really think. I think it must have been like the early 90s. It must have been like 91, 92. I would have been 3 or 4. And I remember being at my granddad's house and he had a Mega Drive. And I remember he had like games that obviously no interest to me. Like I think he had a game called Dick Tracy and maybe a few other adult games at the time. But there was one that obviously was quite memorable, and that was Sonic the Hedgehog. And just the simplicity of it back then for me was there. So every Saturday, whenever I was like round my granddad's house, it would be a session on Sonic the Hedgehog. And that's probably my earliest gaming memory and probably the beginning of the road for me.
What about what first got you into RPGs? That's quite a lot of what your content is now based around.
Yeah. So from the Mega Drive, I eventually got a Mega Drive myself. My parents got me a Master System because it was probably a little bit cheaper than the Mega Drive at the time. So I played like the Master System Sonic the Hedgehog, moved to the Mega Drive, and then 1997 there was a certain console called the PlayStation. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think it was 97 that it came out. I think I might have got it in 98 though. And I was still into platformers at the time, so like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. I was even playing a bit of FIFA as well. And then I think I had a local game shop. Obviously those Blockbusters back then, where you'd rent games for a couple of nights. But I had a local shop that was around the corner, which had the same kind of structure, like rent a game for a few nights. And my dad gave me free rein. He was like, have a look, whatever you want, take it. And my vision was pointed at the most plainest box art. It was just a white box art with a logo saying Final Fantasy VII. Didn't question the numbers. I don't even think I knew that it was the number 7 at the time.
Yep.
It was just like Final Fantasy VII, and trying to pronounce it like V. And I turned the case round, and the back of the case, if you've seen the back of the case, they market it really well. It's the CG cutscenes and just this like epic story. And I was like, wow, this looks awesome. So that's where it began. Rented it, took it back home. But this we take a bit of a twist with this certain session here, because I take it back and I play it. I don't really read into it because I'm still young. I'm not interested. I'm interested in the game. And I did like the structure of it, like not everything happening at the same time. You get to wait around. And then there's a boss right at the beginning of the game called the Guard Scorpion. And you might know where I'm going with this. Because there was little reading from me, but there is a certain piece of text that appears during this boss that wants you to do what it says. It's like giving you a hint. But the way that it was translated at the time, or the way it was just pitched, I got the wrong end of the stick. So essentially, it says something along the lines of attack while its tail's up, but it's not the end of the sentence. So I attacked while its tail was up. I got destroyed. Game over. I hate this game. Took it back, got something else, and then that was it. That was it. That, like, I was not interested whatsoever for about a month or so, and then I was back at the same game shop, and I looked at the game again. And I think at this time they were starting promotion for Final Fantasy VIII, maybe, because I remember seeing a poster of like Squall diving in front of that big robot, and I was like, man, this game looks really cool. Like, I need to give it another shot. So rented it again and overcome the guard scorpion. Finally. And then the rest is history. Like, I was hooked, like just getting over that little obstacle. And then I'd not looked back since, and I've just dove into the madness that is the RPG.
Yeah, I'd say mine's very similar. I got a PlayStation, I want to say the same year Tekken 3 was released, whatever year that happened to be. I was just playing the games that were popular with my friends at school. So Tekken 3, you're talking SmackDown, all that sort of games, the sports games. I don't believe FIFA was out yet. It was Actua Soccer at the time. And then my friend goes, "Oh yeah, you should try this game. It's called Final Fantasy VII." All I could remember is Final Fantasy, and we went into the supermarket, and I think it was Asda of all places, and I saw Final Fantasy on the shelf, and asked Mum if we can get it. She said, "Yeah, we got it." Got it home. I didn't realize it wasn't Final Fantasy VII. It was Final Fantasy IX. So Final Fantasy IX was actually the first Final Fantasy game I played, and it's been downhill ever since.
Oh man, Final Fantasy IX for me, because I entered in at 7, so like my expectations at that time for Final Fantasy is what it was, because 8 was very similar in like it's not its structure, but like aesthetic. Like it's very felt modern day with a little bit of future. There wasn't much fantasy. So when I got to 9, I struggled with 9 at first because I'd set up this expectation of myself of like, well, Final Fantasy IX's got to be this futuristic modern day setting. So I didn't know at this time, I didn't know the past of Final Fantasy. So 9, I played it, but I never got around to rolling credits first time around because I was just like, I couldn't vibe with it. But obviously time's passed and I've returned to it, and it is it's probably in my top 3 Final Fantasies.
Yep. So I went backwards. I went 987.
Yeah.
Speaking of not letting credits roll, I had not completed Final Fantasy X until a couple of years ago.
Oh no.
And there's a very good reason for this, and I'm sure you will sympathize. So I was playing it first time through, and I got to where I thought was pretty much the end of the game. You're climbing up Mount Gagazet, and you have the fight with Seymour. And did the fight with Seymour, went to the next save sphere, saved the game, go back to it another day. Went to go back to it another day, and my save file had corrupted.
Oh, no.
And I was like, no, I'm fucking done. I'm not having this.
I completely understand, because I had the exact same problem with Final Fantasy XII. Like, I was into Final Fantasy XII, and I remember vividly, like, it was the royal tomb that just defeated the demon wall. And I'd done all the I was way over leveled. I was so enjoying everything. Saved it, literally ready to spend the weekend playing it. Load it up. Save data corrupted. I'm like, and I was the same. I was like, screw it. Fuck Final Fantasy XII. Like, I am not, and I'd not rolled credits until I played the Zodiac Age. It would have been last year when I first rolled credits. It must have been last year, yeah. And that's when I got the Platinum Trophy as well. So but yeah, man, back in the day, corrupted save data on that memory card. And you'd always think that, man, if I really blow into this memory card, maybe it will fix the corruption. Maybe, just maybe. But no, not a chance.
Yeah, so I don't know if you feel the same way. Playing through 12, I felt that like the story was building, finished. Like, it was a very quick climax to something I felt they could have done a lot more with.
Yeah, I felt like there was no payoff for the player. There was no, like, you've been in this because it does tell its story pretty well. Like its
Yeah.
world building is actually pretty insane if you really dive in, because the amount of lore that they throw in, like the amount of NPCs are just in one area that you can talk to, of which dialogue changes depending on the events of the game. And then you've got all the little data logs in the bestiary as well that you can unlock.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. There's so much information there for a world for you to invest in. But it just does a very sloppy job of allowing the player to invest in that, like almost sometimes overwhelming. And then the main narrative, like you say, it's like beat after beat after beat after beat. And then by the time you're ready to commit, like, oh wait,
Game's over.
Does that say the end?
Yeah, it's just they just had such a they put so much time and effort into investing in the story. Like, I'd say I know Varn is supposed to be the main character, but I think that Final Fantasy is the first one for me where the main character was the group.
Yes, I completely agree.
With the exception of Penelo, who's just like your token healer.
Yes.
But yeah, they did a very good job of explaining everyone's reasons for being there and investing in all the backstories of how it all originated. And then you go around, you get all the things you need to get to complete the main objective. And then it's just, well, we've got it all now. Let's just have the fight and finish. There's no continuation to what I felt should have been the middle of the story.
Yeah, I mean, but 12, I think the way I summed up 12 is that it's got everything that you need for a great game, a great Final Fantasy. Like, everything is there, but their execution is just very sloppy in places. They just don't seem to, they've almost got too much to execute in the game. So 12's a weird one. It's an enjoyable game to play, but I think if you were to talk like that Final Fantasy story, like, yeah.
So out of the series, what story did you enjoy the most? Or maybe not necessarily enjoy the most at the time, but like looking back on now, which one do you feel has the best story?
I mean, there's many reasons for different things, because instantly when you ask that question, my mind goes to Final Fantasy X. Just because of when I played that. Like, I played that as I was entering my teens, and being able to play this game through the eyes of Tidus, whatever you want to call the guy. Playing through his eyes, because you are in the same boat as him, like, you don't know what the world's about and everything. And then just the general flow of emotions, like, at that time in my life, like, I was entering to be a teenager. The amount of emotions you experience yourself, the game was very relatable for me. And I always look back, and every time I watch that damn ending, I always shed a tear. I just can't help it. So to me, that tells me that story's still strong to me. Recently, I would shift to Final Fantasy XVI being a really, really good story as an adult. Like, it's a very push the gameplay aside, what people say about the side quests and stuff. When the story is a solid experience, and everyone, I would like to think everyone would agree that played that game from beginning to end, enjoyed the story. Like, that was a wild ride that we went on. And then as for any other Final Fantasies story resonating or the best, I think those two probably for me would be 10 and 16, even though 7's my favorite. Like, 7's got a great story, but I think it falls into that bias of like your first Final Fantasy, and I can accept that. Like,
yeah,
I thoroughly like. I mean, the story that they're retelling in the remake trilogy is obviously boosting that story up even more. And I'm sure once the third part's concluded, it's probably going to rank maybe number one, but it'll be in the top 3 somewhere, I'm sure. So,
just before we dive down that rabbit hole at all, just to let you know, I have not completed Rebirth.
Okay.
So
I shall respect that and not spoil anything.
No spoilers from Cosmo Canyon onwards. I've just got to Cosmo Canyon.
Duly noted. I got that.
But yeah, so I suffered with that game, like many of us suffer with games, where you get the game, really nice, it's brand new, it's shiny, you're playing it, and then there's another shiny. And you buy another game, and then that one goes on the back of the shelf.
That's a massive problem of mine as well. I can't help myself. Like, I even tell myself when a new game comes out, like, I'll get it once I've completed what I'm playing. But I'm one of those people, day one, playing it, and the game's just fall in the backlog, and that backlog just gets higher and higher and higher and higher, and I make the same mistake again and again.
So do you think that is down to the day and age we live in where everything is so readily available that it is now so easy? You don't have to go out. You don't have to drive 30 minutes down the road to go to a shop to get a game. You can just press buy on your screen and it's there installed within half hour, 45 minutes, however long it takes. But also the fact that if you don't buy it there and then, because of how widely information is available, there's a chance things are going to be spoiled. Like straight out the gate.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a fear of missing out for sure as well. Like, but I think that's more would be on me. Like, I always have this like, man, if I don't play it now, especially being in like a content creation space, you feel like you've missed the boat, and a game once a month or two's passed, you feel like, oh, that game's old to me now. Like, there's no point. But I think something that I've slowly learned and slowly telling myself, like, man, just play. If you've got the patience, just play it when you're ready to play it. Like, don't, because most times, well, not most times, I'd say 50-50, when I jump into a new game and drop another game, that new game I've jumped into, I don't end up rolling credits anyway.
Yeah.
In a way. Or if the same thing happens with that game and I jump onto the next one. And I'm fully aware that's a me problem. Like, I think that's how I've always been. I've always wanted the new shiny thing. But like you say, this day and age as well, like if you're on the internet or going onto Twitter or even like YouTube can be a pain in the arse as well if you get the wrong algorithm and you get like, for instance, if you were to stumble on YouTube and it's like Rebirth ending and there's an image there, like you're going to be like, oh, man, like it's just, there's so many eggshells you have to tread on.
I am impressed with myself that I have not spoilt the game at all. Like, I've not come across any spoilers.
Kudos.
Yeah, I find it difficult because I like to go into games blind. And in this day and age, you are incentivized to not. So like with Final Fantasy Remake, you had, here, play the demo. If you play the demo, you'll get X, Y, and Z in the full release. I don't want to be penalized for not having played the demo because I want to go into a game not having played the game. And it's bizarre to me they'd incentivize spoiling their own game.
It's a weird day and age we live in when it comes to just the way media is like pitched to us. It really is.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one. They can't seem to. I could go down so many rabbit holes with this. Like, monetization trends. We'll be talking for 3 hours. I hate them. But I was just we've been speaking for a little bit. I've been diving into some of your content, and I do what I do when I go and see anyone's content. Click on their YouTube channel. I then sort their videos by oldest to newest.
Yep, I like to do that too.
Yeah. So in a standard search for yourself through everything, Twitter, Google, the lot, it always pulls up your RPG content. But that wasn't always the case, was it?
No.
Your starting content looks to be very wrestling based.
Yep. Yep.
And it was a game I hadn't heard of.
Yeah.
PW Mayhem.
Yeah, it's I think even before that there was a game I was covering called Tapmania as well. That was very short lived. So I always wanted to be into some kind of content creation, and I can't remember what the date says on the channel. I don't know if YouTube says the date a channel was created still when you go on the about page, but I'm pretty sure that when I made the account, I didn't upload until at least it might have been 6 months after. I definitely made the channel at the start of a year, which would have been 2000. I don't even know. Maybe 2016, maybe 2017. And I wanted to create, and I didn't know what to create. And at that time, I was playing mobile games because I was working full time. I didn't really have much time on my hands, and mobile games was just an easy, quick sync. And I noticed that no one was making content. I was looking for content on this game, and I seen none. So I thought, well, I'll fill that void. So I started making content, just getting it out there. I'm still the same. I'm not too fussed on any kind of numbers. I just create to create because I enjoy it. And things caught on with that. And the game I was covering at the time, that Tapmania WWE game, ironically was published by Sega, which is a crazy connection. So their social manager reached out because I think I was the only one making content on that game. We like what you're doing. Can we work together? Maybe we'll give you like some insight of what's coming to the game so you can prepare content. And this was a new world to me. And I was like, hell yeah. And that kind of developed over time and opened doors that I wasn't even envisioning at the time. And then I was playing that Mayhem game that you're referring to, which is a different company, but because I think I was definitely in my wrestling era at that time. I was enjoying it and I was enjoying the games I was playing. But as time went on, I kind of fell out with not fell out wrestling. I was becoming more disinterested, just in general. Nothing to do with the product. I think it was just my interest was shifting, but I still wanted to create content. So I decided to just shift the goalposts. And I know in like with the YouTube stuff, like changing your content can be a very hard thing, but I just ignored all that. And I was like, I just want to, if I like what I make, I'm sure everything will follow afterwards. And the fact that if you're typing in my name and it's coming up with the RPG stuff means that the algorithm's done its job and I must be doing something right. So quite the unique journey, starting off point from wrestling to RPGs for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we just found out that your first video was released in 2018, so I'm guessing it's the start of the year of that when you made the account.
That sounds right, yeah.
What was your thought process behind? You just said you ignored all the advice that's normally given about and the dangers about swapping genres and content. You said your own interests were changing. Why RPGs?
The thing, right, because I've always wanted to make content on RPGs, but I've, through playing those mobile games and doing wrestling and even doing some stuff with Sega as well, I did some Sonic stuff as probably along the way, probably like 2019, 2020 time maybe. I learned, I was nervous because I was questioning the fact that am I not enjoying it because I'm making content on it? Am I spending too much time around this subject matter? Am I spending too much time around wrestling? Am I spending too much time around Sega and Sonic? And I was really scared of doing anything Final Fantasy related or RPG related because I was like, I really don't want to not like it because I'm making content on it and then end up falling out with RPGs completely. And then, I don't know, end up doing something and leaving RPGs completely behind in all aspects. So I was really, really nervous of doing it, but I decided to just bite the bullet and be like, well, this is the thing I really like. Final Fantasy is me. If you were to talk to me, I could talk all Final Fantasy and RPGs. I've got so much in here and I'm so passionate about it. Surely, let's not look at it as a chore. Let's just look at each bit of content as just me talking, as opposed to being because with the mobile game stuff as well, you kind of get into this loop of needing to be in this live service mindset. Oh, man, I need to be here for the next update. I need to be here for this update. I need to probably spend some money here when I really don't have the time or resources to do that. And I was like, well, if I've got so many games to go through, so many Final Fantasies to talk about, and I just went all in. And the fact that I've probably been doing the Final Fantasy stuff now for probably 2 or 3 years. I think I dabbled into Final Fantasy ever so briefly while I was on the mobile stuff, because there was a mobile game called Dissidia Opera Omnia. So it was almost like a testing of the waters of man, is there anything, can I segue the mobile into Final Fantasy and then go from the mobile Final Fantasy into Final Fantasy? But I think that's when I was getting cold feet, oh, maybe it's too soon kind of thing to pull the trigger. But yeah, if that made sense. I felt like I was just reliving the stress of trying to get that to arrive where I am now. But yeah, it's quite the journey. It is quite the journey when I look back.
Yeah. Scary changing content type. I understand that. I've been through it myself. Going from a dedicated game to another game in the same genre can throw off content creation completely. So just talking about Final Fantasy RPGs, I'm going to use this as a segue into something that I am now going to start calling party makeup. Okay. So you can pick a party of 4. Has to contain 1 tank, 1 melee damage, 1 mage, and then like a support or a healer. It can be from any RPG, MMO game that you want. Caveat is that it cannot contain any characters that have been previously mentioned. The characters that have been previously mentioned so far, it's just 1 set. So we got Auron as the tank, so Auron is out of bounds, I'm afraid. Ruby as DPS, I'm going to butcher this name. John Ionicus as mage, and Aerith as healer support. So those are out of bounds, I'm afraid. Who would be your dream RPG party makeup?
RPG party, man. That's such like a. I think even if it was like focused on Final Fantasy, it's still like a tough question. But you've opened
100%.
the doors. You've opened the door to RPGs and gave me a couple of like easy go-tos, like, but they're restricted now. So the tank can be like a warrior type.
Yeah, just like type. If you feel that they can absorb some damage for you, if you're crawling through a WoW dungeon.
I'm going to try and really mix it up and not have so many Final Fantasy characters. Allow me to dive into some of the RPGs that I've played along the way. Okay. For tank, someone that can. I'm going to go with this guy. For the tank, someone that can soak up damage. There's a character in Star Ocean Till the End of Time. I think his full name is Cliff Fitter, or something along those lines. He's a brawler type, but he's a big guy and he's very, very tanky, I guess you could say.
Fits the bill.
He's got quite the personality, and I really like his voice as well. So I would say he's my tank. Like, he's going to be my tank. As for, what was the other one? Did you say mage?
Mage, melee, DPS, and then a support / healer, however you want to play that.
Okay. For my melee DPS, I would go with Zac Fair from Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Just because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Zac. I like Zac. I like me some Zac. Support healer. Who is a good healer in my? Who would really bring some life to the party? That is not going to be predicted so easily right now.
Well, on the upside, if you do pick an easy go-to, it's just going to knock it off the list for everyone else.
Oh, that's
Depends
true.
how you want to play it.
That is very true. Well, I'm going to go with Yuna for that role. Yuna dances and people die. Apparently, she also is considered the white mage of the group, I guess you could say, even though she's a summoner. And then we are left with a mage. And I was thinking of someone beforehand. It's from a different game, but I forgot the character and the game. That is not a good position to be in right now. Right, I'm going to try and dive out. You know what? He gets a lot of flack for this because he's supposed to be a healer, but he is also quite well versed in like black magic. And this is going to be quite the curveball. I'm going to go to Donald Duck from Kingdom Hearts. Right, because he has got a deadly like comet spell, meteor spell. Like, I think he is the only character, and I'm probably wrong or trying to really give him some credibility here, but I'm pretty sure he's got the most powerful meteor spell in all of like Final Fantasy verse content.
One of the only characters to cast Zeta Flare.
Oh, that's it.
Is that the one we're after?
That's the one I'm referring to. Yeah. Yes. That's why he will be my mage, and I wouldn't rely on him on healing because he's very infamous for not healing you when you need healing. There you go. That's quite. I think I've got quite a good team there.
I'd say you do. Talking about Kingdom Hearts,
Yes.
do you think that game got as big as it did because of the collaboration between Disney and Squaresoft? Do you think it would have been as big if just Disney made it and the Square Enix characters weren't included? And do you think it could have been that big a game if the Disney element was removed and, for example, it was still the different worlds that need saving, but it wasn't something so relatable, I guess?
I mean, for me personally, I bought it because it was Final Fantasy and Disney. That was just I think because it's weird because it came out in like 2001 time. Again, like Final Fantasy X, I was going into my teens, so I was kind of like leaving my Disney-ness behind, if that makes any sense. Like my days of The Lion King, Jungle Book, all my favorites back in the day were behind me, and I wasn't really into Disney, but I had that nostalgia for it. And
Disney's one of those things that you grow out of and then grow back into.
Yeah, and I think for me it was just like the perfect combination and at the right time. But if it wasn't, like, let's say if it was just like a Final Fantasy spin-off and it was just going to different Final Fantasy worlds instead, I think I'd be into that. And if it was just a Disney game, a Disney RPG will probably interest me to a certain degree, just because I'm always open to trying any RPGs. So it's a tough one, but I think just it being Final Fantasy Disney, I think that's why it works so well. I think that was the hook for me. So I can't. It's hard for me to imagine it like that kind of game, not like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say it's one of the few games where there is a clear age progression in the series. You can clearly see Sora getting older and older and older. And we have just had confirmation that Donald Duck is a top 3 black mage.
Oh, that's why it's one of my choices.
The only other characters to cast Zeta Flare are Aerie from Bravely Default and Bahamut in Final Fantasy 16. So he is.
So he had that trait just on his own for some time before those games came out. Then
100%. He is top spot black mage. What do you think of the? It's not out yet, but the change in art style that they've gone to for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Kingdom Hearts. I dig it personally. Like it's like what you're talking. You can clearly see the age difference in each game, and the graphics are also a testament to that in a way. Like I don't know how Sora's going to sound. I don't know if he's going to have a deeper voice than I do in the fourth game. Like it's great
coming out with that James L. Jones voice.
But I do like the graphic. I think it's because if you look from Kingdom Hearts to Kingdom Hearts 2, like you can see the similarities, but you can also see how it's evolved. Let's ignore all the side games for now because we'll be here for another couple of hours. But from 2 to 3, obviously there is a big gap between that. I think they used Unreal Engine maybe for the fourth game. Kingdom Hearts 3 aesthetic and look matched its game rather well. And the fact that Kingdom Hearts 4 is kind of like, because Kingdom Hearts 3, without going into too many spoilers, kind of closed the chapter of the story that was being told. And essentially, like Kingdom Hearts 4 is like, I'm looking at it as like a soft reboot for the series almost as well, because it's going to be like from what I can see, it's going to be like a new saga. And I think having that graphical style, the fact that they seem to be in the real world.
Yeah.
I'm digging it, basically. And we do need to see more, but I'm pretty sure Square admitted at some stage that they revealed that far too early, because I think it's been 2 years since we've heard anything, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah. They Square have nothing to worry about. We are still waiting for Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah. And I mean, Square also announced Dragon Quest 12, and that's been like 4 years. I think they so
going on the Kingdom Hearts 5 here. If you were to visit another RPG world in Kingdom Hearts, like another franchise, or where would you like to disappear off to?
Another RPG world. I would like to visit, and this is because it's recent on my mind, because I had the chance to play through it a couple like last year or the year before, and that would be Chrono Trigger, the world of Chrono Trigger. It would be nice to look at that because that game is just focused around time. Go into that world and seeing what state that world would be in, and looking at that world from outside eyes would be pretty unique, I think. And I think I'd enjoy it because I really, really enjoyed playing Chrono Trigger. So it would be. The flip side, like I wouldn't mind like going to games that I didn't like love, but I liked. So there's a few Star Ocean games that I would love to visit the world of. And when you get asked to think of an RPG, like your mind goes blank.
Yep.
I'm supposed to be the RPG guy. What's going on?
If I asked you in a normal setting, you'd be reeling off answers because you're on the spot. Everything just leaves your brain.
Yeah, I'd say Chrono Trigger or like Star Ocean, or even like, you know what, like even like I know there's not an RPG game as sorts, but I'd love to. This is just harking into my childhood, but I'd love to visit a Sonic world in an RPG setting. Sega need to get on that and make a. They did make a Sonic RPG, but it's not great. It's really not great.
I just really want to hear an Uematsu rendition of Green Hill Zone.
Oh, yes. That would be beautiful.
What about Disney worlds that haven't been touched on yet? Because they tend to go for the classics and they leave out things like Treasure Planet and Atlantis. Atlantis would be...
I think
and Treasure Planet would be absolutely phenomenal to explore in a Kingdom Hearts game.
I think even with that new graphic style as well, like just seeing those worlds that you mentioned.
And I suppose also now they have the entirety of they started already, but the Pixar, and they've obviously acquired a lot of new IPs.
I think you've got Star Wars and Marvel as well that have been tossed into the mix.
Sora, Wolverine, and Darth Vader all in one game.
That would be crazy. And the thing is, though, that might happen.
This has just brought back absolutely horrendous, hilarious memory. When Disney, slight random tangent that we promised you, when Disney first acquired Star Wars, one of my cousins is not sure anymore, was an absolute massive Star Wars fan. And we told him that Disney were going to bring out another Star Wars movie, but it was going to be a musical.
Were they livid?
Oh, they were not happy in the slightest.
Oh, man. Thing is, that could still happen. But for me, like a Disney world that they've not trod on yet, I really like the Inside Out movies. I think it really explores like emotions really well and stuff like that. And I think it'll be really interesting to try and convey that through a game. And I think might be a possibility just because of like Sora being older. It seems the tone I get, even though the trailer is very like minuscule, I feel like there is going to be more emotion in the game. Like they've got the capability to do it with the engines that they've got now. So it'd be nice to dive into some Inside Out. That's more of a recent one. If there was a classic, like Toy Story's already been done for me, so I'm happy with that one. They've done Lion King. A Jungle Book, that would be nice.
Yes, surprisingly I haven't touched on that classic, to be honest.
I wouldn't mind doing a little mini game with Baloo and the Bare Necessities. I can see that happening. So yeah, there'll be ones for me.
So the other thing I think Kingdom Hearts has done really well is sort of blended the JRPG with Western RPGs. Why? What is it about the JRPG format that you think has grasped us in the West? What has made it so successful?
It's a really interesting question, and I think when we really dive into it, I think there's quite a lot there, isn't there? Because for me, like the JRPG here in the West is a good chance, even though you can do this with any RPG because you are essentially playing a role in a game. But the way that the JRPGs does it, like mixing fantasy with futuristic stuff, sci-fi, just these out their kind of scenarios, but at the same time blending in a very real aspect that you can relate to, and just the insanity that some of it. I mean, most of them follow the same trait that I love, that you either end up in outer space or the end of the world kind of scenario. I just kind of dig that vibe. I like being presented with that situation and almost like, how would I tackle this? Even though like the JRPG doesn't really dive into like multiple choices and stuff like the
Yeah.
Western RPGs do, you still get that freedom of like, man, this is like, okay, who's going to be my final team? Who do I want my final three to be to save the world, kind of thing? Like, who I kind of like that, and I just overall I just love the no bounds on it as well. Like sometimes you'll be like, oh man, this is following a trait that I've seen before, but then it kind of just a click of the fingers, like, whoa, what's going off now, kind of thing. And I really like that, and I think that's why I think it's just. I mean, we don't really get that in any other media, from at least from what I've experienced. Like maybe like for me, Power Rangers is quite close. Like in the way it's presented, but I think just being able to play and experience that, I think that's what it really attracts it for me.
So there's been a trend recently with RPGs going down, moving away from turn-based and going down an action RPG kind of style. There is one game series that's done the complete opposite with Like a Dragon. Went from an action RPG kind of action adventure kind of game to turn-based game that proves that it is very much in demand as a play style. So why do you think that JRPGs have shifted away from it?
I think they're trying to appease the modern Western audience. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone, because I pretty much I like action games, but at the same time, like if you were to decide to go turn based, I'd be all in, like to experience that. But I think just with the day and the age that we live in, where like most like people that are turning teenagers now, like their go-to games are Call of Duty, Fortnite. They're not their like attention span, but their like time for games is just quick and
Yes.
very quick sessions. I think they now this I'm not, again, it's not speaking for everyone, but I guess in a way like not have the patience for a turn-based RPG, and that's why probably a lot of the Japanese studios shifted to a more action setting. But I think what we've seen, especially as of late, like there's a lot of people that love turn-based games,
Yeah.
and they want them to stay. I think the only thing that turn-based needs is it needs to evolve. And I think that for a time, a lot of these Japanese studios didn't know how to evolve the turn-based combat. But with games like Persona and games like Metaphor and games like a Dragon have added layers to a turn-based system. Even Expedition 33, which is coming out very soon, like they've managed to evolve to make it not feel like you are menuing all the time, and make it appealing. Because I think for a long time, and a lot of people, if you were to ask them what a turn-based RPG is, they'll be like, oh, I'm just going through menus all the time. But I think that's slowly starting to shift.
Even Final Fantasy evolved it in time, because you had Final Fantasy X was very much the traditional turn-based, but Final Fantasy X-2 evolved it further, and so did Final Fantasy XII with the Gambit system. I don't know whether maybe developers thought they hit a roadblock and had to go down a different avenue completely. But
I also
like,
think if you're sorry, you
it's like when I first heard Final Fantasy VII Remake wasn't going to be a turn-based game, but it would have like a turn-based option, as it were. I was like, oh, 100% I'm going to play it in turn-based mode. I didn't. I didn't at all. It threw off the flow of the game. Works really well. I really enjoy the combat. I think that is partly due to how they have designed the game and developed the game, like progressed the game as a whole. I don't think that would work so well if and when they do Final Fantasy IX Remake. Again, it might be because it hasn't been released, if it is going to be released, if it's being made, and I haven't played it, and I don't have the the capacity in my brain to imagine it as not a turn-based game, I just don't think it would work so well in that setting.
I completely agree with you. I think it's almost the combat matches the aesthetic, like, because with 7 being the way it is, I think they hit the mark so damn well with the combat system of Remake and even making it even better in Rebirth. Like, they've hit that happy medium. I feel like that should be a combat system they should not abandon after they've done with the Remake trilogy. They need to keep that and maybe make it into a Final Fantasy 17 or use it for something else, because that for me still gives me that feeling of making decision, but I don't need to. I can just use my abilities after another, or I could take a minute to pause and menu if I want to be like, okay, right, let's just quickly take a break. I've got an enemy over there. They're weak against fire. Let me quickly see who's got an ATB bar. And it gives that layer of like real good management, and it's satisfying because it's like, oh yes, I've got an ATB, I can use fire. Then I'm going to follow it up with a braver, etc. Like, they've just hit such a good stride with that. And I agree with you with Final Fantasy IX. Like, I can't imagine Final Fantasy IX with that combat system because of the overall vibe of Final Fantasy IX. Like, I've always said that Final Fantasy IX feels like the most Final Fantasy game, if that makes sense. Like,
it 100% does.
If you want a Final Fantasy experience, not just in its combat or in its story, if you want the whole package, I think 9 can offer it you. I think 10 can also do that as well. But 9's something special because it really does harken back to the past that came before it and respects it and tributes it. And with it being 9, I don't think 9 cannot be like turn-based. 9 has to be, and I think Square understand that. And if there is a remake, I think it will be turn-based. I think it will be very faithful because they know. I think they probably have the same feeling that we do of Final Fantasy IX, like how special that game is to a lot of people and its entry in the series. But they can certainly evolve the way it's presented, like making it a bit more snappier, because I don't know if you've gone back to play 9 recently, but 9's battle system, because they focus so much on the animations of the characters and the camera work, that battle system is very slow. Like, if you were to play a game like Persona and then go back to Final Fantasy IX, you're probably going to play Final Fantasy IX in 3 times speed. And if it's your first time playing Final Fantasy IX and you're playing 3 times speed, you're probably going to skip through a lot of the good beats of Final Fantasy IX. And I think that's not doing 9 very good. It's doing it a disservice.
Yes.
So I would really hope that if it gets a remake, that its battle system is pretty much, there's a lot of really cool systems within its battle system, except trance. Like, that needs to be tweaked slightly to be like a limit system.
Yes.
I think we can all agree.
Doesn't activate when you get it. It activates it when you want it.
Yeah. But I think if they can make that battle system snappier, like, there's so much good synergy between like VV and Steiner with the sword arts, and it has all the pieces. So I think to be a really great turn-based system, I think if they just evolve it a little bit, maybe allow you to maneuver on the field a little bit to get positioning in. Because one thing I really liked about the Like a Dragon RPG games is environmental awareness. So if you were to do an attack and they've got like a trash can behind them, like, you know, if you hit them with a powerful hit, you'll do that damage, but they'll also take the damage from the trash can behind them.
Yeah.
So I think just adding a few more layers to what's already pretty strong, like, I'd love that. Like, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Like, to the point, I think 9, completely agree, needs to be turn-based. It really does.
And that's where we're going to pause this part of the conversation. Nostalgia-fueled debates, battle system dreams, and a whole lot of Final Fantasy IX love. But we're not done yet. In part 2, we dive deeper into the RPG grind, the remakes we desperately need, and a few gameplay opinions that might start a fight in the comments. So grab a drink, hit that save point, and we'll see you next week.